We want to get back once again to CBS 13 political analyst Gary Dietrich, who is joining us live.
You know, Gary, in a way, the halls of Congress are uniting tonight, Republicans and Democrats both condemning the violence. And we're hearing from one Democrat, or Republican rather, saying she is reversing her position, challenging the election results. So in a way, could today's violence backfire for these protesters?
Yeah, I think actually, Curtis, that's an important point. And that was my sense as the day wore on, that you heard bipartisan support, including from legislative leaders in both houses, condemning this, saying we need to get today's job done with the Electoral College votes, however you feel about it. And I'm curious to see tonight, as they get back to that business, will that actually become curtailed? Will some of these challenges be condensed or even in some cases abandoned in an attempt to get this done? And that, in fact, would be the opposite kind of reaction that these protesters would probably want.
And Gary, let's get back to earlier today as well, Rudy Giuliani's comments suggesting a trial by combat. He's now saying the rioters are on the right side of history. So what is your take on his words, and does today's show what does it mean for the future of democracy?
Well, I certainly think that language means something, and it makes a difference. And that was a real poor choice of words. Now, it's just really difficult to disagree with that. You know, we already knew that today's passions were going to be high. We already knew that there were going to be protests. And so to use that kind of language, like combative, I think was just probably a poor choice of words on Mr. Giuliani's part.
Well, and I think the scholars are going to study this. There is freedom of speech in this country, but there are limitations. You can't yell bomb inside an airport. So I think scholars are going to be looking at this to see where this stands when it comes to freedom of speech. Now, Democrats, they're taking control of the U.S. Senate, with Democrats winning both Senate seats in Georgia. So how do you think this impacts the division in our country?
Well, that's going to be the really important question going forward, Curtis. What happens 6 months, 12 months, 18 months from now? We have midterm elections coming up next year. I think the passions are going to be running high for those. And so the question is going to be, how do you try to begin to craft legislation? Biden says he wants to be a president for all people. So the mandate is going to be, let's find some kind of common ground so that it just isn't completely at one party at odds with another until we hit those midterms elections, which are just 22 months away.
All right. Political analyst Gary Dietrich, thank you again for your time today.